What is your pain point? What are you fed up with? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Most people do this fantasy world where they think, well, I watched The Secret and the Law of Attraction. I just have to sit home and just meditate and just go, private jet, private jet, private jet, and it's going to manifest. Well, good luck, because it's not going to happen. What is it I do not want and I will not tolerate?
From my perspective, the man has balls, he has courage. When you look at the world now, I'm curious, the world's going through so many changes, so much is accelerating, technology at a rapid pace, old systems breaking down. A lot of people are losing their minds and freaking out. I'm curious from your perspective, give us some insight on your perspective of what's happening now. What's happening on planet Earth?
Well, it's very interesting because Gandhi, I think, said it best: be the change you want to see in the world. And really what's a person's focus, where there should be a focus, and the Buddha said this and so forth, is within. So the only thing I'm really concerned about is my world. And I'll tell you an interesting story. I went to my tailor, and he was had a very interesting, accent, I think from the Middle East. And I didn't know him very well. I had a couple suits made by him. I really liked them. And I was there chatting. And I said, as I was leaving, it was a Friday afternoon. And he said, Shabbat Shalom. So I assumed he was Jewish. And that's where the accent was. I said, he's going to be Jewish. And I says, you're Jewish. And he says, no, I'm Palestinian. And I said, oh. But that was nice of him to say Shabbat Shalom, but he was Palestinian. I says, man, it's really terrible what's going on in your country and in that whole region. And he said, I don't know, I live here. And with a big smile on his face. And he said, I don't know, I live here. And that was the most beautiful thing. I mean, he was loving and kind and a beautiful man, loved everyone. It didn't make a difference what color their skin was, what religion they were, where they were from, what their ethnicity was. It was irrelevant. He was just a beautiful person who loved people. And he understood that, look, the only thing that I really have a choice of is my world. I was in Canada fishing, and there was a guy named Michel. He was a gentleman named Michel, and he flew me on his little float plane. It was a beaver held together with duct tape. It was 100 years old. And he flew me into his camp. It was a fly-in. We were fishing for walleye, so we flew in on the camp, and he's got this little island, he's got this little cottage, and that's his little camp. And I said, we're fishing. There's only 8 guys there, and it's just him. And I said, just like you asked me, I says, what do you think of all the craziness that's going on in the world? And he says, this is my world. He says, all I can do is deal with my world. I can't change anything out in the world. I can just make my world paradise. And I thought both of those examples were beautiful things, because we look outside and want to change things or get consternation, and we get anxious and stressed about things we can't change. And then we recall St. Francis of Assisi's beautiful prayer, right? Which is, God grant me the courage to change the things I can change, the patience to understand the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Right? And that's the beautiful thing. What can we really change? There's only one thing, and that's us. Every time you point your finger at someone or something, 3 fingers are pointed directly at you. Your eyes are actually not cameras. They're projectors. What you see is what you're projecting from what's within. So the world that I live in is paradise. The world that I see is paradise, because that's the world that I'm creating. And when I meet somebody, it's paradise. It's a beautiful connection and relationship and interaction. And that's where I really focus, within and with the world that's right in front of me, because that's what I'm projecting from within.
Before I dive into some manifestation stuff, what about someone who says, "But Kevin, isn't that selfish? We should be serving, we should be making a difference. Isn't that selfish?" Because a lot of spiritual people will say, that's selfish. We got to be service oriented to make a difference on the planet.
Yeah, you can't put a round peg in a square hole. You can't push a rope. Be the change you want to see in the world. The great guru, Muktananda, said, you want to change somebody else? Why don't you work on yourself first? You need some changing. And I remember when he said it, it was like, stop trying to change that person and make that person better and heal that person and fix that person. Look at yourself. You need a lot of fixing and healing. Work on you first. And that's what Gandhi said, be the change you want to be in the world. Listen, you focus on yourself, you focus on yourself. And when you focus on yourself and make yourself better, your world gets better because your eyes are projecting. They're projectors, not cameras. And the world that you start experiencing and the world that starts becoming a reality is better because you are better.
It was just an awakening.
My income has doubled. I'm getting close to tripling.
You can build an amazing, amazing life, off of just your wishes, your command.
How much more money I'm earning and the woman that I have in my life is just miraculous.
Your wish is your command gave me the recipe to manifest the job that I wanted. It really just gives you the recipe.
After I finished it, my life changed. My income doubled. I make lots more money. It was like magic.
I'm making more money than I've ever had, ever.
Enlightening.
Empowering.
Powerful, but simple.
Inspiring. Activating.
After getting your wishes or command, I went from 5K on my bank account to 8 million in 1.5 years.